Welcome to Anonymous Tarot. I'm Cleo, and I'm delighted to be joined by Billie today to explore the symbolism of the tarot. In our tarot deck, the Four of Swords represents a moment of rest and recuperation. Let's dive into its meaning.
I love how this card often shows a figure reclining on a bed, surrounded by candles and symbolic objects. It feels like a moment of surrender, a letting go of the burdens that weigh us down.
The Four of Swords is all about healing and restoration. It's a card of the unconscious, where our minds and bodies can repair and recharge. In ancient Greek mythology, the goddess Hypnos is often depicted as a figure who can put us to sleep and restore our vitality.
The way this card is laid out can also indicate a need to slow down and take a break from the world. Maybe you've been pushing yourself too hard, and your mind and body are crying out for rest.
That's a beautiful interpretation, Billie. The Four of Swords can also suggest a need to retreat from the external world and focus on our inner selves. It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to move forward is to pause and listen to our inner wisdom.
I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of this card. It's not just about taking a break, but about rebalancing our inner selves and reconnecting with our own inner rhythms.
In ancient mythologies, the Four of Swords is associated with the Greek goddess of wisdom, Athena. She is often depicted holding a spear, which represents the power of inner strength and courage. According to legend, when Athena was about to return to her palace, she was stopped by the Oracle of Delphi, who asked her to choose between her spear and her shield. Athena chose her spear, symbolizing her commitment to wisdom and the pursuit of knowledge.
I love how the oracle's question highlights the paradox of seeking wisdom and inner peace. It's a reminder that true strength comes from within, and that the path to enlightenment is often fraught with challenges and contradictions.
The Four of Swords also appears in the mythology of the Egyptian goddess, Isis. In this story, Isis is said to have used her magical powers to heal her deceased husband, Osiris, and revive him long enough to conceive their son, Horus. This mythological narrative speaks to the idea that even in the darkest moments, there is always the potential for rebirth and renewal.
That's so beautiful, Cleo. The idea that even death can be transformed into new life is a powerful symbol. And the fact that Isis was able to heal her husband through her own inner power is a testament to the resilience of the feminine principle.
The Four of Swords can also be seen as a symbol of the inner fortress, a place of refuge and protection where the self can retreat from the challenges of the outer world. In this sense, the card represents a state of inner stillness and quiet contemplation, where one can reconnect with their own inner wisdom and intuition.
I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of the Four of Swords, its emphasis on inner refuge. In a world that often values productivity and busyness, it's a powerful reminder that true healing and growth often require surrender and quiet.
In dreams, the Four of Swords often represents a moment of introspection, where the self retreats from the external world to recharge and reflect on the past. It's a call to surrender and let go of the burdens that weigh us down.
But what if this retreat is not just about physical rest, but also about emotional and spiritual rejuvenation? The Four of Swords can also suggest a need to quiet the mind and listen to our inner voice, to uncover hidden truths and desires.
This card can also be seen as a reminder that rest and relaxation are not luxuries, but necessities. When we're exhausted, we're not just physically drained, but also mentally and emotionally exhausted.
I think this card can also represent the idea of being in a state of suspended animation, where we are not fully present in the world, but also not fully disconnected from it. It's a liminal space where we are in between states.
The symbolism of the Four of Swords is deeply rooted in ancient mythology, particularly in the stories of the Greek goddess Hypnos, who personifies sleep and dreams. This card can also represent the power of the unconscious mind to guide us.
For me, this card always brings up the idea of the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of archetypes that exist within us all. The Four of Swords can represent a connection to this deeper, universal self.
In the context of the Four of Swords, I see this card representing a moment of stillness and rest, where the human is given permission to slow down and rejuvenate. The image of a figure reclining on a bed, surrounded by four protective barriers, speaks to the idea of creating a safe space for oneself.
I'm intrigued by the idea that this card can represent a moment of surrender, where the individual lets go of their need for control and allows themselves to be still. It's as if the body is saying, I need to rest, I need to repair, I need to rebirth myself.
That's beautifully said, Billie. The symbolism of the four walls also speaks to the idea of boundaries and protection. The human is not just resting, but also safeguarding themselves from the external world, which can be overwhelming and toxic at times.
I think that's where the concept of self-care comes in, recognizing that our own well-being is paramount and that we need to prioritize our own needs and desires. The Four of Swords is not just about rest, but also about rebalancing and recharging our energies.
Absolutely, Billie. And I think it's also worth noting that this card can also represent a moment of introspection and self-reflection. The human is not just resting, but also examining their own thoughts and emotions and making amends for any past mistakes or hurts.
That's a beautiful interpretation, Kleo. For me, the Four of Swords feels like a reminder to listen to our own inner wisdom, to trust our own instincts and intuition. It's a call to quiet the mind and tune into our own inner voice.
In this segment, we're turning the Four of Swords on its head, examining the flip side of this restorative card. We're looking for the moments when our own rest and recovery become a hindrance rather than a haven.
I find myself drawn to the idea that our minds can be a prison just as much as a sanctuary. When we are not careful, our own inner world can become a place of stagnation, where we are trapped by our own thoughts and emotions.
The concept of the dark moon in astrology comes to mind the moment when the lunar cycle is at its most receptive, yet also potentially chaotic. This can be a time of great introspection, but also of great inner turmoil.
That's a powerful idea, Kleo. It suggests that even when we are seeking rest and healing, we are also being forced to confront the parts of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden. It's a delicate balance between surrender and self-preservation.
Exactly. And this is where the Four of Swords can become a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's a card of rebirth and regeneration. On the other, it's a reminder that our own inner work can be a heavy burden, one that requires great care and attention.
I like to think of this as a call to inner gardening, tending to our own inner landscape, rather than just letting our thoughts and emotions run wild. It's a reminder that our own inner work is never truly done, and that we must be gentle with ourselves as we navigate the twists and turns of our own inner world.
The Four of Swords is often referred to as a card of rest and recovery. It's a call to listen to your body, to slow down, and to allow yourself the space to heal.
I love how this card can be seen as a rebirth of sorts, a shedding of the old to make way for the new. It's a reminder that sometimes we need to surrender to our own vulnerability in order to find strength.
In many ancient cultures, the body was seen as a temple that needed to be cared for and respected. The Four of Swords is an invitation to tend to that temple, to give it the nourishment it needs to flourish.
I think this card is also about the importance of solitude, of being alone with our thoughts and emotions. It's a reminder that we can't pour from an empty cup, and that sometimes we need to take time for ourselves to refill.
In a way, the Four of Swords is a call to the divine feminine, to the nurturing and receptive qualities that are often overlooked in our fast-paced, action-oriented culture.
I see it as a reminder that rest is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength. It's a permission slip to slow down, to dream, and to tap into the deep well of our own inner wisdom.
The cards have spoken.
We'll see you at the next draw.